learn how to program and how being a developer changed my life. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As you can see, how I became a developer at the age of 51 and how being a developer changed my life and fed my passion. Let's get started. I want to thank A Carr, Italy, for bringing me here and being among such a beautiful people and a beautiful country. I so enjoy myself with the wine. Here we go. Okay, you can follow me on Twitter at Fine Black Woman. I know I'm not the finest thing in the world, but it's just I caught it before everybody else did, okay? And you can follow my podcast. I have several podcasts on coffee, women, and tech. Me and my husband talk about technology. He talk about music, wine, and I talk about women in tech. I also want to thank Women of Code. I am director of Women of Code in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been a member of Women of Code since 2014, and it changed my life. And as part of the change in my life, I'm in love with working with amongst beautiful women all over the world. And you can see there's me, and there's Erica Beth, Joey, the CEO of Women of Code, and then the finance person from Women of Code as well. So my elevator pitch. I'm the first Black woman that created a domestic for the state of Georgia. I'm the first self-taught Black woman that created this domestic violence act for the state of Georgia. Okay, so I am a self-taught developer. So back in 2011, I decided that I was going to get the second generation iPad, stand online like everybody else, one of my favorite things to do in the world, and meet all these amazing people. And while I was online, I met a 15-year-old boy. And I asked him, how did he get $800 to get an iPad? And I asked him, I said, so did you wash some cars, sell some candy, and he basically told me that he built a mobile app. And I was like, okay, so you're a genius. You graduate from college doing this. And he's like, no, I YouTube. And I turned to my husband and I said, that's what I wanted to do. So in 2012, I started looking around for schools to, and tutorials to learn from. And doing that, it was a little struggle. It was finding a mentor through a meetup group that helped me get started in iOS developing. So I learned Objective-C. And Objective-C was no joke. If anybody knows anything about Objective-C, knows it's not that easy to work with. It took me a year and a half of confidence to believe that I was learning something. So around that time, October, somebody put out for a tutorial, which was like $125 American dollars, and I was like, hell yeah, let me jump on it. And so during the tutorial, I realized, I knew, I knew Objective-C, I knew what I was doing. So once I finished the tutorial in 2014, January 2014, I started working on a mobile app, and it was for victims of domestic violence. And actually, my mentor gave me the idea, and it was very emotional to me because it had a lot to do with a lot of people in my family, my daughters, my girlfriends, and one of my girlfriends died as a victim of domestic violence. And so when I created the app, it took me 3 months to do the app. And then it took me 2 months for it to go through Apple. Because Apple wasn't easy. It was not easy submitting that app to Apple. So here is where the actual app was called the Purple Pocketbook. Purple Pocketbook is still on Android. And it's still on Android, and it's for the state of Georgia. and then then I had to rename it to Pivo, and Pivo it just been renamed to Pivo last year, 2015. Um, so in 2014, Women of Code, I became a member of Women of Code. I had some problem thinking about it. I had some problems with my mobile app because, like I told you, it took me 2 months to submit to Apple. And when I found Women of Code, one of the girls there who had no coding experience helped me figure out why the app was not being submitted to Apple, and it was because of the screen size. So the old screen size, they had it where you can design it a certain size, you submit it had to be a certain screen size, and it's like. And so I ran home, I drove home. Okay, Atlanta, you can't run, you drive. I drove home and I made all the necessary changes to the app and submitted it. And on May 2nd, Apple approved my mobile app. Then in 2015, we decided to change the name because I wanted to make it national because so many people was contacting me about wanting it accessible in other states and even other countries. I got a call from Canada. I had got a call from people from Australia wanting the domestic violence app to be available. But the problem is it was just me doing it. So even though I converted the app to Purple Evolution to make it more national, just little bit by little bit, I'm adding states to it by myself. In November 2015, Women of Code reached out to me and asked me would I be willing to be a director to Women of Code. I was real excited about it, very, very excited about it. But right before that, they helped me get scholarship. I had gotten a scholarship to the WWDC 15, and that was through Women of Code. And that was the most, me and my husband was like a dream come true. We was like, yes, we're going to WWDC 15. The only thing we was not able to do is see Steve Jobs. That's like, one of the things that, anybody who's been watching keynotes for like, since us, we're watching when he first made them. We're going to the Worldwide Developers Conference. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to Worldwide Developers Conference. My mentor was like, you're going to the Worldwide Developers Conference, so what you gonna do? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna wear high heel shoes, wear a skirt, and try to be cute, like a woman do. And he's like, that ain't gonna work. Nobody cares about how you look at the Worldwide Developers Conference. It's a bunch of men. I said, well, that's what you think men would like to see women in, high heel shoes. But that was not going to be the answer to the question. So what happened after that was I decided, he told me to get some t-shirts. And he said, put on the t-shirts, ask about the Purple Pocketbook app. And I was like, okay. And he's like, if that don't work, if nobody asks, then I'll pay for your t-shirts. So I was like, okay, no problem. So I did what he said, but I did something different. I decided that I was going to add on the back of the t-shirts, thank you, WWDC, for getting me a scholarship to WWDC 15. I took that picture and I sent it to everybody who got me into the World Conference. From Apple, Apple usually send, and when you get a scholarship, everybody from Apple is connected up to you, from the travel agent to the organizers. It's like 4 or 5 different people from Apple. So I emailed everybody from Apple, everybody from the Women of Code organization, thanking them for the opportunity. And then in return, Apple looked for me at the developers conference and asked for me to be highlighted on their keynote before they actually start the keynote. And so I was like, okay, cool. And this is what they put on their page. So it's not what was on the page, but it was on the screen right before. It was at the live screen on the live event where they were just showing all the pictures, and then they showed me Not only I was the first black woman highlighted, but they also put my name on it. And they don't normally put people's name on it. Well, Alicia C is probably as close as I'm going to get my name on anything Apple. And this was an amazing opportunity. So I was so excited from it, so excited from it. So Apple had acknowledged me. And also being a director also for Women of Code has been an amazing opportunity. I help a lot of women in getting into technology, learning code, finding jobs, or just giving them opportunity like this to speak to some amazing people in amazing places. So for the other situation, Apple reached out to me. Well, Apple didn't reach out to me. It was a documentary short company that reached out to me, and they were looking for people who created mobile apps in Apple. So now it kind of like, I'm probably kind of like been kind of naive about it because I didn't think it was Apple, but somebody told me it was Apple, but I didn't want to believe it was Apple. But reached out to me. We went back and forth with emails. And what happened was that they came to Georgia, interviewed me again. And so they was like, okay, we're still not, sure. As they were still trying to decide if I should be in a documentary short, I was in Google I/O. I got a call and told me that they will be coming to Atlanta to do a documentary short on me about my mobile app. The requirement was that the app had to be current, and the app wasn't, because I was still working on it. As a developer, you have glitches and problems, and as a person who, didn't have nobody to reach out to, I had to really try to figure it out myself. Apple sent somebody from their corporate office to help me fix the app. We submitted it, and in the United States, we have Memorial Day. And I don't know if y'all have that kind of, but Memorial Day is like a week in the end of May, and everything is shut down. And what they did is they had somebody come in and submit my app and approve it right before I was able to do the event for the event. So now Apple acknowledged me twice. 2015, 2016. Apple already told everybody that I was an iOS developer that created a domestic violence app. The problem is that nobody else acknowledged me. So I'm looking for a job. I already know what I can do. I know I could create an app. I know that I put it in iTunes. So it's official. I am an iOS developer. But in the United States, it was a different situation. Where I was from, everybody knew who I was. All those people who I went to the meetup groups and connect up with all these people. Everybody in Atlanta who was in tech knew who I was because of the video. And yet every company that I went to knew who I was, interviewed me, but still I could not get that job. And it was heartbreaking to me because knowing that how talented I was, but yet it was out of date. They seen my talent because a lot of these people I connected to helped me with my app. They gave me, they tell me, Alicia, you need to fix this. Well, Alicia, you need to add this to your app. And that's what I did. And so interviewing with them was a totally different situation. So reality is that, everything don't happen the way it is. So in tech, things have changed from stereotypical hood-wearing, nerd glass-wearing, gadget-obsessed over the latest new gadget. This is not only men, this is women. These women who are more into tech trends than men. But before I get into the facts, let's get some real history. So everybody has seen Hidden Figures. Back then, women were human computers. So, we're looking at it as, okay, since we're human computers, we know code. We not the mathematical numbers and everything, but also the fact is that women like Susan Kerr, Hedley Lamar. Anybody know Blazing Saddles? Blazing Saddles? Nobody know Blazing Saddles? Hedley Lamar? You know, didn't get it. Grace Harper also is a programmer pioneer, and Ada Lovelace. So these are women that created code. And so this is how we know women have such more impact on technology. Women tend to spend 9% more minutes on social media than men. Women spend 15% more time on instant messaging app than men. Women spend 71 more percent on photo sites than men. Unsurprisingly, women tend to be more interested in shopping, couponing, okay? And women are more likely than men to have personal blogs, brand with celebrities, network and profile, according to Nielsen. Women check their phones more than men and play more games than men on phones than women. So what's the problem? Women not only are have a lower number than men, also leave tech more than men twice, and study shows that women who work in tech are interrupted in meetings more than men. And y'all probably don't realize you're doing this. So, I mean, this is something that, a lot of women notice a lot for themselves. Women are evaluated on their personality way more than men. Women are less likely to get funding from venture capitalists whose study also shows find pitch delivered by men even more handsome with more perseverance. And in a particular cruel irony, women contribute to open source software are accepted more often than men are, but only if their gender is not unknown. So there was a stats done with GitHub where GitHub checked everybody's code but didn't know the gender, and found that when they found out who the gender was, women were better at code. What they have seen under their under the actual statistics. Women of color has been told that they are not technical enough, and they should consider sales or marketing, something many white women in the field can relate to. One woman of color was told by a white woman at a conference that her name should be Erica because of the color of her skin. When Silicon Valley was emerging after World War II, software programmers was considered mindless, unglamorous, and somewhat secretarial, therefore suitable for women, and the future was hardware. But once software revealed its potential and profitability, men flooded into coding because of the male realm. The problem also, after groups of 7 senior women in tech conducted an Elephant in the Valley survey, 84% of the respondents has been told that they were too aggressive. They felt inclusive from key networking opportunities because of gender. Witnessed sex behavior at conferences and companies' off-site meetings. Have clients and colleagues direct questions to male peers that should have been addressed to them. Fed up unwanted sex advances, in most cases from a superior. Of those women, 1/3 said they were feared for their safety. And the fact that women suffer even more bias at jobs and as they age, and you get a sense of how big the problem is. Also understand that ageism has effect nearly on all women in technology. Being told as older women, are you technical? And the younger women are being told, asked to either go get coffee or notes. The cultural fit is also an issue for people of color as well as other unrepresented groups. Other industries seem to have a real problem picturing older women in the tech role. So, for example, I'm probably more tech than maybe 50% of y'all, because I actually make apps, I talk about technology, I breathe technology, and my granddaughter told me I wasn't technical enough until I proved her otherwise. And she's 12 years old. Women notice that while other communities are taking about and welcoming younger women into the tech world, the plight of older women and women returning to tech after a long hiatus are being overlooked. The tech world needs experience, stability, and can't afford to alienate older technical women or men for advancement. The change. Women in tech don't need a change. Men need to change their views of women in tech. The ideology and traditional thinking of men need to change, and surprisingly, some women as well. Some do. So, do you want more women in tech? Of course you do. Research has found that with male and female balance in the company, it is a better financial make for a happier environment. So, women are just as technical as you, just as smart as you. No, and probably a little bit more with women, a little bit more common sense. There's things that, for example, I was volunteering at a women international school in Atlanta. We asked a bunch of little girls, what app would they change? And one of the girls said it would have been Instagram. And we didn't understand why she said Instagram. She said Instagram did not have pastel colors. And as little girls, those are the colors that we love. We love the pinks, we love the purples, we love the blue, and it is the lighter, softer colors. And this is what one little girl could have done to change Instagram if she was just in there coding with them. Vouch for, advocate for, and include and support women you know in tech as well as those you don't. They are potentially your partners in major projects. Confronting bias, and you and others like you will recognize and refute it. Watch out for code gender bias language and call them out when others use it. So let's start my closing. Let's start a new beginning.
I want to be this amazing coder, this off-the-chain senior developer where everybody comes to me and it's like, can you fix this? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and I go in there, I'll just type up the code and damn. And like, wow, you can do this. Yay!
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
So did you get any kind of coding back in school when you were in school or not?
The only thing I did was boot camp. It was a 3-month boot camp. Well, actually, Objective-C, I took a year and a half. And then it took me from there, the boot camp, which, you know, as a woman, you know, you're not confident enough to believe that what you did that year was good enough. And then once you get to that boot camp, you're like, oh shit, I know everything.
Are there any other questions?
Well, then the question is this observation that I'm a remote worker for a company, and I have a wife and a daughter, and I feel guilty because frequently I can take care of many aspects of my family that my wife can't, because I'm a remote worker and I have a lot of flexibility. So I think that this, if I would advise my daughter about a job in the future, I would tell her to study software development, because when she will grow up, she will have more flexibility as a remote worker to take care of her family than if not. What do you think about this aspect of software development, flexibility?
The flexibility for women is what we look for. That's why a lot of women want to go into tech, because of the flexibility, because we want to take care of our family. It's, you find more time in a flexible schedule to take them to an event, take them to play sports, go food shopping, because your job is, you work around that with your job. And yes, I totally think it's an opportunity for women, yes. Nobody else? Nobody else?
Other questions?
Hi. Does it work? Okay. Uh, I'm, I've been in charge of hiring people for a software development company for years, and I try to be as neutral as possible when judging the people that I needed to hire. But there was one thing I'm really interested in from the point of view of someone that was on the other side of the discussion. If you said that the bias we have toward the gender is something we are not really aware of, okay? So we are not really able to judge how much it is this bias and when it's kicking in. How can you compensate that bias without overcompensating it, undercompensating it? Do you have any suggestion to be able to recognize when that bias kicks in and how much it's kicking in and things like that?
That's a good question. Somebody will be coming up right after this talking about that. But my personal experience is that me and my husband talk about this, is that you can train people on bias. What happens is they get a new bias when learning one. So it's kind of like, can it work? It's kind of like, will it work? It just depends. No matter what, I can't say bias really. But when, for example, when you start interviewing people, when you interview women, are you getting resumes that are compatible to the men? Are they the same kind of resume with same kind of experience?
Yeah, I mean, there is a wide range of experience. I get good and bad ones like everyone else. I would say that, of course, the women one are fewer, and at least in Italy, we didn't have a long tradition of computer science, so the women ones are usually for younger girls. But apart from that, I didn't notice particular difference.
Okay. Are we good, everybody?
Are there other questions? Yes.
So, you show us your travel. Did you regret something, or will you change something in your past?
That's a good question. No. No, I don't think, you know what, because to have the opportunity to be acknowledged by Apple twice as an African American woman, and they have not done that with any woman that I know of, hell no. I'll do the crying all over again, apply for those jobs all over again. But right now, where I'm at, I'm speaking on a subject, an issue that needs to be addressed. It's going to take a long time for companies to diversify, to be inclusive to the community or minorities. So, no, and I get to come to Italy? Please.
Thanks for your presentation. Do you have any advice about how to build pipelines to bring women inside the community, for example?
Say that again, I didn't hear you.
Do you have some advices about how to build pipelines to bring women inside the community?
I would say that there's a lot of programmers that are, and you're in companies where a lot of programmers are men. A lot of coders are men in a certain department. And I've said that if one man in that group, in that department would say, hey, listen, let's bring a woman in here, that starts changing, making it more diversified within that group. A woman can change a lot of things when it comes to coding. We use product a lot. I mean, I have so many examples of where me and my women of code talk about a product and how it sucks. But if a company was to bring a woman in there, she would make it more woman friendly because we use it. So I suggest that if you're in an apartment with a group of men, the manager, hey, let's bring a woman in. I think that's the perfect start to bring in, to diversify an organization. Finish with me? Match that up.
You have mentioned that after the acknowledgements, you struggled to find a job, or you struggled in job interviews. And my two questions would be, what do you think were the reasons for that, and how do you think others experiencing the same reasons could overcome them?
Finding that the reason why I think that I didn't get the job, and being an American, one is that I was an older woman, and two, I don't want to say it's the color of my skin, but let's say I'm an older woman, just a woman and an older woman, and the tech community don't think, as me being an older woman, that maybe I will live long enough to stay in a job. But what they don't understand, that as the older people, we're more dedicated and reliable and responsible and dedicated to a company, because we know that we're with a company, they're taking care of us and we're taking care of them. But when you talk about overall how we can change that, it's just given the opportunity. I can't say, I don't feel that lowering the bar is going to help the situation unless they want to do an internship or a fellowship or an apprenticeship to bring somebody in at a lower pay, to get them up to speed, to give them the right pay. That's a start in bringing somebody in. And I know people who have done that. So it is up to the company to decide, if I want to bring that person in or not. And I would say that I'm just talking from my experience, and I was like, now, it took me, I think, 2 years to find a job, and changing what I want to do, and deciding that, talking about diversity and deciding to take a position as a diversity coordinator is much better fit for me than being a coder.
Other questions?
We good?
Okay. Thank you very much, Alicia.